Welcome. My name is Peter Strong, and I'm a professional psychotherapist specializing in online therapy. I offer online therapy for agoraphobia. So, agoraphobia online therapy is very effective for people who really can't get out of their house to work with a therapist in their local area. So during these sessions that I offer via Skype, I focus on teaching you very effective mindfulness-based methods of working with your anxiety and panic attacks. So the real important thing to understand here is that agoraphobia is really a psychological habit. I prefer to call it a habit rather than a disorder, because when you start labeling these psychological states as disorders, that tends to reinforce your sense of helplessness as a victim, and we don't want to do that. The actual mechanism that generates the anxiety and panic attacks in agoraphobia is a habit, and habits can be changed. So during online agoraphobia therapy sessions, I will guide you in how to work with the underlying emotions and thought patterns that support that anxiety. We do this in a surprising way. We actually learn to make friends with our fear. This is very, very important. You can't change a belief when it has a very strong emotional charge based on fear. No amount of rational arguments or persuasion that you don't need to feel this way is going to change that anxiety. You have to learn to work with the anxiety directly. And that's what we do during mindfulness therapy. We actually learn to meditate on your own fear as you imagine walking or traveling out of your safe zone. So we set up a series of challenges, exposures, if you like, where you choose to do a particularly difficult exercise, but one that you can manage. But then we prepare for this by playing it through in the mind. It might be walking around the block, or just simply leaving the house for a few minutes. Whatever it might be, we design a challenge and then we prepare for it by meditating on it. We play it through in the mind, and then we look for the fear reactions, and we look for the thought reactions that feed that fear, and then we develop a mindfulness-based relationship with these emotions and thoughts. And that relationship is based on friendliness. You learn essentially to sit with your emotions and thoughts without becoming overwhelmed by them, without losing your balance. And this is central. This is a central part of mindfulness training, that you can be with your thoughts and emotions but not be overwhelmed by them. When you can do that, then you start to break the habit that gets reinforced by re-traumatizing essentially that fear. So we learn to sit with our emotions without becoming reactive and without identifying with those emotions. We learn to develop this other side of our identity, which we call the true self, the observer mind, that which can be conscious of thoughts and emotions but is not identified with thoughts or emotions. We then work with those emotions and begin to treat them very much as you might treat a child that's afraid. You learn to comfort the emotion itself, the fear. You build a strong relationship with it, rather like a parent to a child. And in this way, the fear reaction, we might call the little self, is able to let go of its fear by proximity to your true self, which is fearless by nature. So in this way, we begin to build resolution pathways in the brain. You learn basically how to help the emotions resolve themselves, so that if they get triggered, they simply resolve instantly on the spot through the training that you've done before you do the challenge. And then you go out and walk around the block or whatever and put this training into action. And so we repeat this process over and over again. Meditation before challenge, then we do the challenge, and we may come back and meditate some more, and then we repeat the challenge until we no longer feel any fear in doing that challenge. Then we move on to a harder challenge, and in this way we gain more and more confidence in the process. So when you are able to neutralize these emotional reactions, then the beliefs begin to change quite automatically. We don't need to try and change our beliefs. We simply need to change the emotional content that fuels those beliefs and makes them so powerful. If you'd like to learn more about agoraphobia therapy online, do please send me an email and we can schedule a Skype therapy session. Thank you.